The tall glass tower of K.J. Simmons Enterprises stood still in the early Abuja morning. On the outside, it looked like peace. But inside, the building was already alive. Cleaners were polishing the marble floors, wiping down spotless windows, arranging indoor plants. Security guards stood by the entrance, eyes alert behind their sunglasses. Everything looked flawless, rehearsed, expensive. Malik Simmons, the CEO, walked in through the front lobby without a pause. He moved like a man on a mission, dressed in a dark charcoal suit that clung to his broad shoulders like armor. His shoes clicked crisply with every step. A leather briefcase swung from one hand, while his other hand held a phone pressed to his ear. He didn't smile. He didn't greet anyone. Today was a turning point. A major international deal, years in the making, was finally ready to be signed. The kind of deal that could take K.J. Simmons Enterprises global. But just as he reached the elevator, something unexpected happened. A young woman in a navy blue cleaning uniform stepped out from behind a large pillar and stood directly in his path. Her name tag read Zuri. She looked nervous, hands wrapped in pink rubber gloves, a mop leaning against the nearby wall. Her oversized uniform made her small frame look even smaller, and her shoulders shook just slightly as she spoke. "Excuse me, sir." Her voice barely escaped her throat. Malik blinked. Cleaners didn't usually speak to him. He looked at her, eyebrows raised. Her eyes were red-rimmed like she hadn't slept, or maybe like she had cried too much. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said, her voice cracking. "But please, sir, don't sign anything today." Malik stared, unsure if he heard her right. "What did you just say?" Zuri looked down, then back up. Her eyes were full of something raw. Fear, maybe, or urgency. "I had a dream last night," she said quietly. "You were in this exact suit. You went upstairs and you signed some papers. After that, everything changed. People were yelling, you were crying, alone. I saw it all." Malik's jaw tightened. He was a man of logic, spreadsheets, contracts, numbers. He didn't believe in dreams, especially not from strangers. "And you are?" he asked, tone slightly softened. "Zuri, sir." "I clean the East Wing," she said quickly. "I know I'm just a cleaner, but I couldn't keep quiet. If I didn't say something, and something bad happened to you, I wouldn't forgive myself." He paused, watching her carefully. It made no sense. It sounded ridiculous. Still, he gave her a tight, polite smile, the kind rich men use when they want to end awkward conversations without being rude. "Thank you for your concern," he said gently. "But I'll be fine." He stepped past her toward the elevator. As the doors slid shut, he turned his head. Zuri was still standing there, arms crossed over her chest. Her mop lay forgotten behind her. She didn't call out again. She didn't plead. She just watched him. And in that one silent second, Malik saw something in her eyes, something deeper than fear, something true. The elevator doors closed, but her face stayed with him. The doors opened again on the top floor. Malik walked out, step steady, posture confident, but his mind was somewhere else. Zuri's words echoed in his head. "Don't sign anything today. You were crying. Alone." Everything was gone. It looped in his head like a whisper he couldn't shut out. Malik didn't do superstition. He did structure. He built his empire from nothing, brick by brick, with his childhood best friend, Jelani Carter. Together, they'd turned K.J. Simmons Enterprises into a tech titan, bold, black, and globally respected. Jelani was the talker, the charmer, the golden boy who loved cameras and cocktail parties. Malik was the architect, the planner, the storm behind the calm. They made the perfect team, and today was supposed to be the crown jewel of it all. But the girl's face, those eyes, they gnawed at him. As Malik walked into his corner office, the entire Abuja skyline greeted him, rich, clean, beautiful. The view was everything success looked like. Still, something inside him felt off. He didn't know why, but he felt it. That evening, Malik drove home alone. The estate gates opened silently as his black SUV rolled in. The guards saluted him. He didn't respond. He barely noticed. His mansion glowed like a model home. Manicured lawn, glowing porch lights, perfect symmetry. But inside, it felt like ice. His wife Amara sat on the white leather couch, legs crossed under a silk robe. She looked flawless, like a woman on a magazine cover. Her face was lit by the cold blue light of her tablet. "Evening," Malik said as he walked in. "Welcome," she replied, eyes never leaving her screen. That was it. No smile. No, "How was your day?" He stood there, waiting, hoping. But she just kept scrolling. He sighed and climbed the stairs. Years ago, they used to sit up late laughing, whispering dreams under the covers. Now, they were ghosts under the same roof. In their bedroom, Malik loosened his tie and sat at the edge of the bed. Silence stretched between them like a thick curtain. Amara didn't argue anymore. She just stopped trying. And maybe he had too. So instead of asking questions or seeking warmth, Malik buried himself in his laptop, emails, numbers, files. Anything to feel like something still made sense. Anything to avoid asking the one thing he didn't want to answer. How did we get here? And somewhere in the silence of that question, Malik drifted off to sleep, but the girl's voice still echoed in his chest. "Don't sign anything today." The next morning, Malik arrived at the office earlier than usual. No coffee, no greetings, no hallway nods. He went straight to the top floor, face unreadable but mind running in circles. Today was it. The $100 million international investment deal, the one Jelani had spent months setting up, was ready for signing. The legal team had prepared everything. Foreign partners were online waiting. All that remained was a signature. Inside the boardroom, the setup was flawless. Flags of both countries flanked the large screen. Documents sat in leather-bound folders on the polished glass table. Assistants moved silently, positioning microphones and pouring water. Jelani stood near the window, wearing a cobalt blue suit and a gold wristwatch that glittered with every gesture. He sipped from a sleek bottle of mineral water, energy radiating off him. "Malik, finally," he said, flashing a wide smile. "Man, you ghosted me yesterday. What happened?" Malik offered a small nod as he sat down. "Just needed to review some things again," Jelani chuckled. "We've been through this, bro. It's all tight. One signature and we're global." Malik's name was already printed neatly at the bottom of the first page. Just one move of the pen. That's all it would take. But his hand didn't move. His eyes scanned the paper. The words blurred, and in his mind, Zuri's voice repeated like a low wind across water. "Don't sign anything today. Everything will fall apart." He looked up at Jelani. His so-called brother looked calm, confident, too confident. "I'll need more time," Malik said suddenly, pushing the folder back gently. Jelani blinked. "More time? Again? I just want to double-check the payout structure. Some of the wording feels off." Jelani tilted his head, smile still on but slightly tighter. "Man, I've been over every line. You know that. You're overthinking." "No," Malik said. "Won't take long." Jelani's smile stayed, but his eyes didn't match. "Do your thing," he said with a nod. "Just don't let the bag pass us by." "Never that," Malik replied, but inside his heart was pounding. He didn't know what was wrong. But something told him, don't move. Downstairs in the lobby, Zuri was mopping the same floor she'd cleaned 100 times before. Her arms ached, her palms rough from chemicals and long hours. But she moved with grace, head bowed, quiet and steady. People walked past like she didn't exist. Suits, heels. Briefcases, she was invisible, and she had learned not to mind, but she saw things. Zuri had always seen what others missed. She had grown up with her mother in Port Harcourt, raised on faith, courage, and sacrifice. She used to be an economics major at the University of Nigeria. Smart, focused, top of her class. Then her mother fell ill. Medical bills stacked up. Doctors shook their heads. The woman who had carried her through life was fading fast, and Zuri couldn't bear to watch helplessly. So, she packed her books, dropped out, took the first job she could find, cleaning the offices of KJ Simmons Enterprises in Abuja. The uniform didn't fit. The pay was barely enough, but it bought medication, and it kept the lights on back home. She didn't complain. She worked, and she watched, and sometimes she dreamed. Not the kind of dreams people have after a long day. Zuri's dreams came different, vivid, specific, unshakable. She had dreamt of her neighbor's apartment catching fire the night before it happened. She had seen her uncle collapsing in a market, stall days before it came true. And last night she saw Malik Simmons, standing alone, broken, his company gone, surrounded by shouting, betrayal, pain. She didn't know why the dream chose her. She didn't even know the man. But when she saw him walk into the building that morning, wearing the exact suit from her dream, something in her heart screamed, tell him, even if he laughed at her. Even if it cost her the job, she had to speak. Now, as she scrubbed the far end of the lobby floor, she whispered a quiet prayer. Please let him have listened. Later that evening, Malik sat in his bedroom, laptop glowing in the dark. Across the room, Amara sat by the large bay window, bathed in the soft gold light of her phone. She hadn't spoken in an hour. No, how was your day? No questions, no warmth. Then her screen lit up. A call. She glanced at it, stood up slowly, and walked out, whispering. Malik paused, staring after her. 10 minutes later, she came back in, face blank, voice normal. She sat down and continued scrolling, but something was different. Something in the way she clutched the phone to her chest. Something in how she deleted the call history when she sat back down. Malik didn't say anything, but a chill moved through him. Who can I trust anymore? First the dream. Now this. He reached for his phone and called the one person who had never lied. To him. Lana, it's me, he said when the call connected. Lana Thomas, his private investigator. Discreet, brilliant, unshakable. I need you to look into two people, Malik said, voice low. Jelani and Amara. There was a pause on the line. Then Lana responded, calm and sharp. Understood. I'll start tonight. Malik hung up and dropped the phone on his desk. The walls of his life were starting to bend, but he was ready. Because now the blindfold was off. The next afternoon, Zuri moved quietly through the upper floor of the executive wing, cleaning around the hallways. She had been extra cautious since speaking to Malik. She hadn't heard from anyone. She didn't know if he believed her. She didn't know if she still had a job tomorrow, but she kept moving. The halls were mostly empty. Executives were in meetings or out for lunch. Zuri picked up a trash bin and pushed open the door to the executive restroom and froze. Jelani Carter was inside, alone. He didn't notice her right away. The door hadn't made much noise. He was leaning against the marble countertop, speaking on the phone, his voice bouncing off the polished tile. Zuri stepped back into the shadows, her heart racing. Then she heard him clearly. Once he signs, the funds are mine. He won't even know until it's too late. Everything's in place, the deal will bury him, and he'll still thank me for it. Zuri's mouth went dry. Her hand tightened around the trash bin. She backed away slowly, carefully, holding her breath. When she got far enough, she turned and walked quickly down the hallway, her mind spinning. The dream. It wasn't just a dream. It was real. Jelani, was planning to destroy Malik. And now she had heard it with her own ears. He wasn't a friend, he was a threat. Later that day, most of the staff had gone for lunch. The hallway was nearly empty. The only sound was the soft hum of air conditioning. Zuri stood near the elevator, pretending to clean, but really, she was waiting. Then she saw him, Malik Simmons, walking toward the elevator, reading something. On his phone, this was her moment. "Sir, please," she said, stepping forward. Malik looked up, surprised again to see her. "Zuri?" he asked, voice cautious. "Something wrong?" She nodded, heart pounding. "Sir, I know how this sounds. I know I'm just a cleaner, but I heard something today, something you need to know." Malik looked around. No one else was in the hallway. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Go on." Zuri swallowed. "Your friend, Jelani. He's not who you think he is. I overheard him in the executive restroom. He said once you sign the deal, the funds become his, that you won't even know until it's too late." Malik's jaw tightened. "Are you sure?" he asked, voice deadly serious now. Zuri nodded. "I didn't mean to hear it, but I did. I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but if I stayed quiet and something happened to you..." She didn't finish. She didn't have to. Malik looked at her. He wanted to brush it off, to believe she misheard or misunderstood. But something in her face, her voice, her fear, it felt too real, too raw, too honest. He gave a small nod. "Thank you, Zuri. You've done more than you know." She stepped back as Malik turned and walked away, his thoughts spiraling faster than his footsteps. Malik sat alone in his office, staring at the documents again. The contract folder was still on the table. His pen lay beside it, unused. He'd known Jelani for over half his life, built everything with him, called him a brother, and Amara, his wife, his peace, his past. Now, both felt like strangers. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face. Could Zuri really be right? Could the people closest to him be lying? His heart whispered yes, but his head still wanted proof. He grabbed his phone and called Lana Thomas, his investigator, again. "I need everything you can find on Jelani's financial history," he said. "Every project, every account. And also, look into Amara." Lana didn't ask questions. "Already working on it," she said calmly. "I'll update you tonight." That evening, Malik returned home. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Amara sat at her vanity mirror, brushing her hair slowly. Her reflection glowed in the soft bedroom light. Her tablet buzzed beside her. Malik leaned on the doorframe. "Can we talk?" he asked. She paused, then nodded. "About what?" He stepped inside. "I don't know what's happening between us, Amara," he said softly. "We don't talk. You barely look at me. You walk out of the room for secret calls and delete them. I feel like I'm living with a ghost." She turned to him, her face expressionless. "I don't know what you're talking about." He took a step closer. "You're hiding something. I can feel it." Amara laughed once, cold and short. "Or maybe you're just paranoid," she said, standing up. "Maybe you're so used to controlling everything that the moment things feel off, you assume people are betraying you." Malik's mouth opened slightly. That wasn't what he expected. "I'm your husband. I'm trying to reach you." "No," she said, shaking her head. "You're trying to blame someone for your own unease. You always do this." She picked up her tablet and walked out of the room. He stood there, her words slicing through the air. Not because they were true, but because they were designed to confuse him, gaslight him. And now, more than ever, he felt it. Something was wrong. And, no, he wasn't crazy. Later that night, the building was dim. Most employees had gone home. The lights were lower. The air was still. Zuri stayed late, finishing her duties on the executive floor. She mopped slowly, thoughts heavy. She still didn't know if Malik believed her. She turned a corner and stopped. Jelani. Carter was standing there. He had just ended a call. His face was calm, but the moment he saw her, his eyes narrowed. Zuri froze. He stepped toward her slowly, hands in his pockets. "What are you doing here?" he asked smoothly. "I was, just finishing up," she said, voice trembling. Jelani glanced around. Empty hallway. Just the two of them. "You cleaners. Always popping up." but you don't know your place. Zuri's grip tightened on the mop handle. He stepped closer. Let me be clear, he said. You clean floors. That's all. You don't eavesdrop. You don't talk out of turn. Zuri stayed still, breathing shallow. Whatever you think you heard, he said, voice turning cold. Keep it to yourself. Don't play with fire. You won't like how it ends. He brushed past her, shoulder bumping hers. Zuri's body trembled as she stood frozen in fear. She wanted to quit, to run, but a voice inside her whispered, Don't leave yet. He hasn't won. The next morning, Malik sat at his office desk, eyes locked on his phone. His breath was shallow. His mind was running. The device buzzed. A message from Lana lit up the screen. It's true. Jelani's been moving money for 2 years. Fake projects, foreign accounts, clean on the surface, but it's theft. Careful, calculated. Malik's grip tightened around the phone. Everything dropped into place. It wasn't just a gut feeling. It wasn't paranoia. Jelani had betrayed him quietly. For years, and Malik had been too loyal to see it. Now it was no longer a warning. It was war. The office was calm, but Malik's soul wasn't. He sat motionless, thoughts unraveling like thread in a storm. He picked up his office phone. Get, Zuri. I want to see her, he told the front desk manager. 10 minutes later, she stood before him, back straight, hands folded, eyes lowered. Her oversized uniform swallowed her frame, but something in her posture had shifted. She didn't look like a cleaner anymore. She looked like someone with purpose. Malik stared at her for a long moment, then spoke gently. How did you know? Zuri looked up, her voice soft but steady. I didn't know, sir, I saw. I don't understand business or money, but I saw you signing something, and then everything collapsed. It wasn't about profit. It was about your life. I just felt I had to say something. Malik leaned back in his chair, shaken. This young woman, who everyone overlooked, who cleaned floors and emptied bins, had done more to protect him than his best friend or his wife ever had. Her warning hadn't been superstition. It had been salvation. That afternoon, Malik made a decision. He called Jelani. Let's do the signing tomorrow, he said, voice calm, smooth. I've gone through everything now, looks good. Jelani laughed on the other end, carefree. Knew you'd come around, bro. Tomorrow's going to be big. Malik forced a smile. Yeah, big. But inside, his heart burned. The man he once called a brother was a cobra in a custom suit. Meanwhile, Lana was still digging. She traced every fake project Jelani had funneled money through. Ghost vendors, offshore accounts, digital handshakes. The theft was silent, but massive. But then, something else surfaced. That evening, Malik met Lana at a quiet rooftop restaurant. Her expression was unreadable. There's more, she said. Go on. One of the shell companies. It's linked to someone else. Malik frowned. Who? Lana didn't hesitate. Amara. Malik stopped breathing. And that's not all, she added, her voice lowering. She's romantically involved with Jelani. They've been meeting privately, months. I've got location logs, payment receipts, texts. Malik sat back slowly. His chest caved. The floor beneath him felt like it cracked in two. His best friend, his wife, together, lying to his face, sleeping under his roof, plotting while he worked late to build a life for all of them. Vanessa's dream wasn't just a warning, was a prophecy, and now he knew what had to be done. The next morning, the entire company buzzed, camera crews, guests, journalists, staff running around in suits and heels. It was meant to be a celebration, the $100 million deal that would launch KJ Simmons Enterprises into global tech history. Flower arrangements lined the stage. Reporters set up lighting near the podium. Staff gathered at the back of the conference hall, smiling and whispering. At the center stood Jelani Carter. He was beaming. His navy suit was crisp. His gold tie glinted. His charm was at full power. He shook hands, smiled for cameras. gave quick quotes. This was his moment. Malik stood beside him, quiet, composed. But behind the stillness was fire. He had spent the entire night in silence. Amara had moved around the house like nothing was wrong. She had asked what he wanted for dinner, suggested a spa weekend. He hadn't replied. He had slept in the guest room. She hadn't asked why. In the conference hall, the ceremony began. Journalists lifted cameras. Investors tuned in virtually. Staff clapped politely from the back. Jelani stood at the mic full of swagger. "Today we make history," he said, voice booming. "And we couldn't have done it without my brother, Malik Simmons. A man of vision, a man of trust, a man I've built this company with since day one." The crowd clapped. Malik stood quietly, holding the folder. Everyone was watching. Cameras zoomed in as he raised the pen. Jelani leaned in and whispered, "Let's make history, bro." Malik looked at the pen, then the crowd, then at Jelani, and smiled faintly. Then he set the pen down. "I won't be signing anything," he said calmly. Whispers filled the room. Jelani blinked, still trying to play it off. "Come on, man, stop joking. People are watching." Malik turned to the tech team. "Can you put this on the screen?" Seconds later, the projector flickered to life. Financial records, spreadsheets, bank transfers, dates, amounts. "Someone's been stealing from this company for 2 years, Malik said. "Disguising theft as innovation, hiding under fake projects. Moving money through foreign channels, but not anymore." He paused, turned. "And that person is you, Jelani." The room froze. Gasps. Cameras clicked wildly. Jelani's face fell. "Malik, this is madness." Before he could say more, Lana stepped in through the side door, holding a thick folder. She handed it to the company lawyer. "Inside are emails, wire transfers, voice recordings," she said, "and plans Jelani made to shift blame onto Malik." The signing was the final move in the trap. Malik stepped closer to his oldest friend. "You were going to let me take the fall," he said softly. "After everything we built, everything I trusted." Jelani opened his mouth, but no words came. "And one more thing," Malik added. His voice dropped. "Amara." Jelani didn't deny it. He just looked down. The room was dead silent. Then, 2 uniformed officers stepped forward from the back. They walked up to Jelani and placed handcuffs on him. "You won't get away with this," Jelani muttered, eyes low. "I already did," Malik replied. He watched as Jelani was led out, cameras flashing, crowd murmuring. The man who tried to destroy him was gone. But Malik wasn't smiling. Because the people who had betrayed him weren't just criminals. They were the people he had once called family. The only one who had truly seen him, warned him, stood outside the spotlight, holding nothing but a mop. That night, Malik Simmons returned home. The mansion stood quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that didn't soothe. The kind that echoed. Victor was gone. The deal was dead. The company was safe. But the weight on Malik's chest hadn't lifted. Not yet. Inside, he found Amara in the living room. Calm. Unbothered. Folding clothes into a sleek travel bag. She looked up when he entered. "You're back early," she said. Her voice was dry, no emotion. Malik didn't speak. He walked to the coffee table and placed a brown folder in front of her. Inside were call logs, emails, hotel bookings, payments. Everything Lana had found. Amara glanced at the folder but didn't touch it. "You gonna say it's fake?" he asked, voice low. She didn't answer. "I have voice recordings too. Bank records, everything." Amara sat down slowly. Her shoulders dropped. Then she looked at him. No tears. Just tired eyes. "I loved him," she said. The room tilted under Malik's feet. "You were never truly mine," she added, voice softer. That was it. The truth. The one thing he feared more than the betrayal. He stared at her for a long time. "I was yours," he whispered. "Even when it was falling apart. Even when you stopped seeing me, I never stopped choosing you." He stepped back, shaking his head. "And you killed that." Amara's lips trembled, but still, no apology came. She stood, grabbed her bag, and walked to the door. No goodbye, no explanations, no more lies. She left quietly, the same way she had left their marriage. And when the door closed behind her, Malik stood there, alone. But this time, not confused, this time, he felt free. The next morning, he walked into KJ Simmons Enterprises with a calm heart. No cameras, no celebrations, just peace. His divorce was final. Jelani was behind bars. Amara was gone. He had no idea where she went, and didn't care to ask. He was ready to rebuild. First thing he did that morning was speak to the front desk. "I need to see Zuri," he said. The receptionist hesitated. She's not here, sir." Malik frowned. "Not here today?" The receptionist shook her head. "She resigned this morning, but she left this for you." She handed him a folded piece of paper. Malik opened it with steady hands. In small, neat handwriting, it said, "My task is done. May truth stay with you. Zuri." No number, no forwarding address, just gone, like a shadow. The girl who saved his legacy disappeared into the world. Months passed. Malik never tried to search for her. He understood. She hadn't done it for attention. She hadn't warned him to gain power or money. She spoke because it was right. And sometimes, that was all that mattered. He kept her note in the top drawer of his desk, and somehow it changed him. He stopped seeing staff as background noise. He started listening more. He walked slower through the office, greeted people by name. He started therapy. He unpacked the betrayal, the silence in his marriage, the pride that blinded him. And slowly, the weight began to lift. 1 year later, Malik launched a scholarship. He called it the Zuri Light Fund. It was designed to help young people like her, those who had dropped out of school to take care of family, those who were overlooked and unheard, get another chance. He also restructured the company. No more secrets, no more closed rooms. He built a new leadership board that included voices from every level of the business: engineers, admins, interns, and yes, janitors. He called it the wisdom table. At every meeting, one chair was left empty, not because someone was missing, but because someone had already shown them the way. 2 months later, on a quiet Saturday afternoon, Malik visited a small community center in Zuba. He had been donating books and building rural libraries, one quiet project at a time. He stepped inside the modest library, shelves stacked with worn textbooks, kids whispering between aisles, mothers reading aloud to toddlers. And then he saw her. At the far end of the room, Zuri, seated behind a desk, calmly organizing library cards. Her hair was pulled back. She wore simple jeans and a navy blouse. She looked peaceful, still, focused, but her eyes still carried that same quiet fire. Malik stepped forward slowly. She looked up. Their eyes met. Neither of them spoke. Then she stood, adjusting her ID badge. "Mr. Simmons," she said almost shyly. Malik smiled. "I've been hoping I'd find you." She smiled too, just slightly. "You disappeared." "I had to," she said. "I needed to start over. I'm back in school now. Part-time economics. I work here in the afternoons." Malik's heart swelled. "You were always meant for the classroom, not a mop," he said warmly. "But I have another offer." Zuri raised her eyebrows. "I want you to join our new ethics and oversight team. You'll help us build a better future. You'll be trained, guided, respected, paid fairly, and most of all, heard." Her eyes widened. "You want me to work for you again?" "No," Malik said softly. "I want you to work with me." Weeks later, she walked into the lobby of KJ Simmons Enterprises, but this time she wasn't wearing a cleaner's uniform. She wore a crisp white blouse, dark slacks, a silver name tag that read Zuri Adeyemi Executive Intern, Ethics Division. Some staff stared, some whispered, some smiled in disbelief. But Zuri walked calmly, head high, shoulders back. Not to prove anything, just because she no longer had to hide. She had come full circle. That morning, Malik stood quietly by an old grave under a shady tree on the edge of his family's land. The gravestone read, Chief Banjo Simmons' father. He knelt down and brushed the leaves away. I built an empire, Dad, he whispered. Signed million-dollar deals, sat in rooms with kings, but it wasn't a boardroom that saved me. He looked up at the sky. It was a girl with a mop, and a voice nobody else heard. The wind moved through the trees like an answer. Malik closed his eyes and smiled. He was still standing, because someone chose to speak, and he chose to listen. 2 weeks later, the grand ballroom echoed with applause. It was the company's annual awards night, an evening of gratitude and growth. Employees from every department filled the hall. There were no VIP tables, no private sections. No voice was more important than another. Malik stepped onto the stage, dressed in a simple black suit. No flash, just presence. He looked out at the crowd. I was once told that help doesn't always come in power suits, he said. Sometimes, it wears rubber gloves and carries a mop. The crowd quieted. He continued. I want to introduce someone. A woman who reminded me that wisdom doesn't come from position but from purpose. He turned slightly. Please welcome Zuri Adeyemi. The crowd erupted into applause. Zuri walked onto the stage, poised, composed, glowing. Some employees stood. Others wiped quiet tears. She didn't say much, just nodded. But her presence said enough. Later that night, Malik and Zuri walked together through the quiet office. The halls were peaceful. Golden light spilled through the windows. Do you still dream? He asked softly. Zuri smiled faintly. Not always, she said. But when I do, I listen now. Malik nodded. So do I. And as they disappeared into the golden hallway, the camera settled on a bronze plaque hanging in the lobby. Near the entrance, May truth stay with you. Zuri Adeyemi.